A new set has been announced for Pokemon TCG Pocket. Dubbed SpaceTime Smackdown, this new set focuses on Gen 4 Pokemon, and unlike Genetic Apex, there are only 2 booster packs instead of 3. The total number of numbered cards is 140, which is smaller than Genetic Apex's 226, but significantly larger than Mythical Island's 68. Numbered cards being cards that are between 1 to 4 diamonds in rarity. It releases on the 29th of Jan, but also including that, trading is being brought in on the 28th. And in fact, thanks to data miners, there is a lot of new trading information that wasn't revealed in the trailer. So in today's video, we're going to be running through the new cards that were revealed, taking a look at some of the leaked cards that weren't in the trailer, as well as all the new information about trading that has been data mined. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. So thanks to data miners, we have found all the assets relating to trading in Pokemon TCG Pocket. And there are 2 currencies you need to be aware of when trading cards, that being the trading hourglass and the trading tokens. In this screenshot here, we can see both of them in the top center. It'll have the same system used in Wonder Pick and the timed solo event challenges, and you'll get 1 new hourglass every 12 hours, just like Wonder Pick. But the trading tokens are a little bit more vague. We don't have much information on them, but many people are guessing that you'll need to buy them using shop tokens. And depending on the rarity of the card that you're trading will depend on how many tokens you'll need to use to trade. For example, Raichu is 3 diamonds and requires 120 tokens. So trading an EX card, which is 4 diamonds, you can expect it to be somewhere around 200 tokens instead. And then of course, only being able to make 1 new trade every 12 hours. You will need to have multiple copies of the card to be eligible to trade it. And just like purchasing flares for your cards, you'll need a minimum of 3 to trade 1 of them away. This is perhaps why the app developers don't allow you to trade anything above 1 star, because you can get plenty of duplicate full arts, but it's very rare to have more than 3 of one particular 2-star card. So unfortunately, there is going to be a lot of requirements and restrictions when it comes to trading. Developers have mentioned in some way, shape or form that they'll be opening up trading even further as more and more sets are released. But for now, it's trade tokens and trade hourglasses that you'll need to collect to continue trading your cards. Okay, so let's talk about the new Pokemon cards. First up, we have Dialga, a basic Steel-type Pokemon with 150 HP. Its first move, Metallic Turbo, which deals 30 damage, allows you to take 2 Steel energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. And its second move, Heavy Impact, deals 100 damage for 4 energy. We're going to start off with this card because it is likely going to be the biggest meta changer card in this set, and the reason for it isn't because it syncs so well with Melmetal, that's quite obvious, but it's because the move doesn't specify that the Steel energy that you take from the energy zone has to go to a Steel Pokemon, which means Dialga can synergize extremely well with any colorless Pokemon, or any Pokemon that have big moves that doesn't require any type specific energy, such as Mew EX with Genome Hacking, which only requires 3 colorless energy. But it's Pidgeot that will likely synergize with Dialga the best out of the lot, because thanks to this move, Pidgeot will be able to safely garner energy on the bench, meaning you'll no longer have to waste 3 turns putting energy onto that Pokemon just to execute its move. Wigglytuff will see a lot of synergy with this move as well. Sleepy Song, which deals 80 damage and guarantees the opponent to sleep, will be executable within 1 turn. Melmetal being obvious because it's an agile version of the Golem deck. Tauros will definitely see a lot of play with this move as well. Expect Tauros to be the new Mars Shadow in this new meta, but the 3 Pokemon I'm the most interested to see synergize with this move is Lickitung and Baby Aerodactyl, because whilst they're considered more mean decks, they actually become a little bit more viable now. Lickitun's continuous licks for 60 damage per heads, whilst fun, it was very slow to build up to and never guaranteed damage when you could finally execute the move. Now that Dialga can reduce the turns dramatically to get to continuous licks, we may see Lickitung return with a little bit more usage. Regarding Baby Aerodactyl, it's a very versatile card that could fit into any Dialga deck, as it would only need one copy each of its evolution line, and Primal Wingbeat could be that winning move you need when you're in a pinch. But it's still a meme card at the end of the day, so I wouldn't expect it to get too much usage in the new meta. I'm very interested to see how Dialga would sync with Snorlax however. Since Druddigon has proven that stall meta decks actually work quite well, Snorlax fits that meta far better since it has 150 HP, but is severely restricted because of its 4 energy retreat. With Dialga, that won't be a problem anymore. In fact, in just 2 turns, you could make that stall card actually deal 70 damage with rollout. A lot of people tried to make Snorlax work in their decks, I did too, but it's proven to just be a little bit too dangerous, especially when you've got cards like Hitmonlee, Greninja and Dragonite seeing a lot more usage because of the abilities to deal damage to benched Pokemon. But if you're dealing 70 damage per turn, I don't think that would be a problem anymore. Next up is Pachirisu, who indirectly revealed that there will be Pokemon tool cards coming in this set. For those who haven't played TCG Live or the TCG card game, tool cards are items that you can attach to Pokemon in the bench or in the active. And personally, I didn't think the game would ever introduce something like this. It prides itself on being a simplified version of the game. So like cards like stadiums or tools, I just thought would never come to this game, but they are. So it does beg the question, would we see cards like Wishful Baton, which is where if a Pokemon gets knocked out, you can move up to 3 basic energy to another Pokemon in the bench. Or perhaps it would be a weaker version like XP Share, where you can only move 1 basic energy upon your Pokemon being knocked out. Or what about a newer card that hasn't been phased out of standard play, such as Counter Gain from the Surging Spark set, which is a tool that reduces the amount of energy required for a move if you have less points than your opponent. Or perhaps Luxurious Cape, which increases an existing Pokemon's health pool by 100 HP, providing it's not an EX card. The only drawback being that if it gets knocked out, the opponent gets 2 points instead of just 1. If that was to be introduced, that would make Koga Weezing decks pretty strong. But OP cards like Forest Sealstone and Fighting Fury Belt, I see that being quite unlikely. I've seen some other YouTubers talk about Focus Band coming into play, but that is an extremely meta-shifting card and I don't know if they'd include it in this set. But coming back to Pachirisu, it has the move Sparking Gadget, which deals 40 damage for 2 energy, but increases to 80 damage if it has a Pokemon tool attached. I could see this card having a lot of play because it's a more guaranteed damage dealer compared to Pikachu EX, which relies on how many Pokemon you have on the bench. Whilst it's not 90 damage, it's still 80 damage for 2 energy, and you don't have to rely on stuffing your deck with plenty of basic Pokemon. And we don't even know what this tool item is. For all we know, it could make Pachirisu pretty strong. Palkia EX might sound underwhelming on paper. It only has 2 moves, Slash, which deals 30 damage, and Dimensional Storm, which deals 150 damage and 20 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. The drawback being that you need to discard 3 water energy from this Pokemon to pull off that attack. And when you've got Pokemon like Gyarados, which is dealing 140 damage with a 180 HP health pool, Palkia just sounds kind of underwhelming. However, I don't think that's the case. Slash is a really strong chip move that you can just keep dishing out whilst you're putting energy on the back line. And Dimensional Storm is just a stronger version of Raichu's Thunderbolt, because you'll definitely be running Vaporeon with this card, and when you need one last big hard-hitting attack, put Palkia back onto the front bench, use Vaporeon to move all that water energy necessary to make this move happen, and then just one-shot that Mewtwo EX, job done. Wouldn't recommend using this move unless it's your finishing move, but for many players who feel like this card is kind of underwhelming, I disagree. Next up is Cynthia, which confirms Togekiss will be appearing in this set as well. She gives either Garchomp or Togekiss 50 additional damage for 1 turn, so pretty much a pumped up Blaine card. In my opinion, I believe Garchomp will be very similar to its Sun and Moon Ultra Prism version. That card had 150 HP, which had a pretty impressive move called Royal Blades, which dealt 100 damage. But if you played Cynthia from your hand during that turn, it dealt an additional 100 damage on top. I could see a dumbed down version of that being played here. But that version of the card had Garchomp being a Dragon-type Pokemon. We've seen other cards of Garchomp be fighting-based, and if that's the case, it'll sync up very well with Lucario, which is a leaked card that is coming in this set. Thanks to the leaks, we'll know Lucario will have 100 HP and will be a fighting Pokemon, but most importantly is its ability, Fighting Coach, where attacks used by your fighting Pokemon deal an additional 20 damage to the opponent's active, and this all can be done with Lucario being in the bench. This is a pretty significant ability, and I can see this working the best with fast fighting decks, that being Primeape, Marshadow, Aerodactyl EX. Decks doing very well in the meta right now, if I might add. Slower decks that rely on 2 copies of Druddigon, such as Golem decks, will struggle to include it. What's very powerful about this, however, is that the effects can stack, totaling to 40 plus additional damage each turn. We know this to be true because we can refer to Superior, with its ability Jungle Totem specifically saying this effect doesn't stack. What I find interesting about Lucario is that perhaps Machamp EX decks might see a return. Machamp is kind of like one of those hidden sleepers that can deal 120 damage with just 3 fighting energy. Match that with its massive 180 HP health pool. If you have only one Lucario on the bench, match that with a Giovanni and you'll be one-shotting big Pokemon like Mewtwo EX. And if you're very lucky to get 2 heads with Marowak EX, you could be one-shotting Charizard instead. And that is pretty much everything there is to know about these leaks and the new trailer. Are you happy with how the app is handling trading? And what do you think about the new cards? Because they certainly don't seem as crazy as Mythical Island did. But let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, we try to read them all. And for more Pokemon videos, you can check out this one that should be appearing on the end screen now.